The Qin Dynasty. The Qin Dynasty was very brief and lasted from 221 to 206 BCE. During this time, many important historical events occurred. The Qin Dynasty was a result of many victories during a period of conflict known as the Warring States period. This period lasted from 426 to 221 BCE. These conflicts started because the peasants started rebelling against the emperor. The state known as Qin was eventually victorious over these conflicts. These victories resulted in the complete conquest of China in 221 BCE, which is when the Qin Empire unified all of China. During this dynasty, legalism reached its peak and was the primary religion in China. After the first emperor of the Qin dynasty, Shi Huangdi, died, the weak replacement eventually led to the citizens rebelling once again.
Persia. Cyrus managed in relatively no time to establish Persian control over the ancient Near East, Egypt, and parts of India, giving the Greek city-states a run for their money. The Persian Empire was the largest empire that had ever been established. The Persian Empire spanned from Egypt in the west to Turkey in the north and through Mesopotamia to the Indus River in the east. Persia today is a country of Iran. By the 5th century BCE, it was the largest empire the world had ever seen, surpassing the size of their Assyrian predecessors. In 539 BCE, King Cyrus decided to expand the boundaries of Persia. He began by conquering Babylon. Unlike Assyrian king, Cyrus was known for his mercy rather than his cruelty. For example, he allowed the Jews who had been captives in Babylon for over 50 years to return to the holy city of Jerusalem. Instead of turning them into slaves, he returned sacred items that were stolen from them and allowed for the rebuilding of their capital and their temple. Cyrus also allowed the Hebrews to continue living and worshiping as they chose. The Jewish prophet Isaiah called Cyrus God's shepherd and said that God would go before him and level the mountains.
Okay. The Mayan Empire. The Mayans were the indigenous people of what is modern-day Mexico and Central America. The Mayan Empire was separated into many different periods, and the only period closest to 600 BCE to 600 CE was the Zapotec period, which began in 600 BCE and ended in 800 CE. The Zapotecs were influenced by the Olmecs, and they refined many different inventions such as writing, math, astronomy, and they helped with the development of the calendar. The Mauryan Empire. The Mauryan Empire started in 322 BCE and ended in 185 BCE, after surpassing the Magadha kingdom. The first ruler in the Mauryan dynasty did anything to expand his kingdom, which meant starting alliances, wars, diplomacy, and many more things. The main part of the Mauryan population was farmers, so the agriculture was taxed. And bartering was the prevalent system used, and they used gold, bronze, and copper coins as money. And money was also loaned on interest against promissory notes. The Mauryan kingdom was divided into provinces, which were then divided into smaller villages, and most of the population was either Hindu, Jain, or Buddhist. The successors of the Mauryan emperor couldn't keep the kingdom together, so in 185 BCE, the last Mauryan ruler was assassinated, and the empire fell.
Two of the most important city-states were Athens and Sparta. They contributed to our idea of citizen and democracy. Its early democracy consisted of only free adult men being citizens and voting on government policies. This initiated the idea that government could be influenced by the peaceful voice of people. The democracy shared common language, religion, but it wasn't the only form. There was also totalitarian oligarchy. Its city-states were united by Alexander the Great and expanded to include Egypt and the Indus River region. The city-states of ancient Greece fought with each other in 338 BCE. They were conquered by King Philip II of Macedonia. After Philip died, Alexander the Great took over. He conquered new lands. The spread of Greek culture, language, and ideas throughout the Mediterranean and as far as East India. Christianity became the prominent because of the Constantine. It eventually grew and became hard to control. This led to its splitting and its decline. Gupta. It covered roughly the northern half of today's India and is most notable for its cultural contributions. These cultural contributions later found itself into Western culture. For example, they contributed the concept of zero chess and medical advances. Emperors encouraged peace, prosperity, and trade with foreign lands, especially, uh, especially China. The empire declined when invaded by Huns. The Huns took over, and all of India split up into individual kingdoms. The Hephthalites and Asian nomadic tribe were the reason and destruction for the civilization. The war devastated the economy. By 550 CE, Hephthalites decimated the Gupta Empire. The Gupta Empire was known to be one of the most peaceful, wealthy civilizations of the time.
And the Han Dynasty. The Han Dynasty was established by Liu Bang after 4 years of civil war against the Qin Dynasty. The Han Empire lasted for about 400 years, from 202 BCE to 220 CE, which was the longest dynasty in China. The Han Dynasty was a mixture of centralized and decentralized government. The centralized was composed of several branches, while the decentralized was divided into provinces. The strategic placement of the imperial capital, Chang'an, allowed it to be in a central position and caused it to be the eastern end of the Silk Road. The Han Empire was also based around Confucius principles. Some important inventions during the Han Dynasty were paper, gunpowder, steel and iron casts, the rudder, and fireworks. The Han Dynasty eventually found out how to pick officials through a system called meritocracy, which had all young boys to take a test to see if they had the potential to be an official. And during Emperor Wu Di's time, China incorporated the rest of what is now modern-day China.
Rome began as a group of villages along Halys, Tiber River. In about 750 CE, these villages joined to form Rome. Rome later became a republic. It had representatives. This was Rome's most powerful body of government. Julius Caesar was Roman general and governor. He used his power to become dictator. This brought Rome's republican to an end. Rome became an empire in 227 BC. During Augustus' time of being emperor, he brought peace, wealth, Rome made process. The army kept peace, trade increased, and public buildings were built. Literature was written. This wealth was known as Pax Romana.